What is my favorite episode? It's always like favorite moments in the episodes. Was like the most recent episode that came out. They just had this run cycle that was super funny. Oh, it was when they were watching the protesting, and the police were there. So the main protest ended, and then the cop runs on screen. He's like, "Hey, they're protesting down the road," and they have like the funniest like arm shape movement when they're running. And it's fun because like we have a phone call with SPDS twice a week. So every week I'm like, "Oh man, I saw the episode last night. That was so funny." And they're like, "Oh, thanks, man. Thanks a lot."
Favorite moment in a South Park episode. All right, so my favorite moment in a South Park episode, it was probably, I don't know what season it was. It's somewhere around season 9, but the boys go to the water park, like SeaWorld, and they meet this whale, and the whale doesn't talk to them, but they're tricked into thinking the whale talks to them. And so all this craziness happens, and they wind up paying the Mexican government $200 to return the whale home. And at the culmination of the show, I think you have like Pete has shown up to try and like set the whale free. The whale's owners have shown up because they want the whale back. There's this big like overarching story about animal rights and all this other stuff. And the boys in the background, you see this rocket go up, 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 and then they launch, and the whale takes off into space. And I think I laughed for about 10 minutes after that episode was done. And they're playing the credits actually, and the whale's just sitting there on the moon, dead. And that one always sticks in my mind as probably one of the longest periods of time in my life where I just laughed uncontrollably. As after the show was done, I was still just giggling about this poor whale that got launched into space.
I've been catching up on some South Park episodes recently, and Mint Berry Crunch is just like that episode was so serious, and then all of a sudden, when the father from another planet was talking to Mint Berry Crunch behind him, I was gone. I was laughing so hard. That was good.
Well, the human centipede, you really can't beat the moment right there. That is, as far as they've really gone in that show, that's pretty funny. Ooh, favorite song is my personal one was the Butters, There's Something in My Front Pocket for You was my favorite song, actually.
Certainly when Cartman uses his powers of invisibility to go up on stage, and his powers of invisibility, of course, include him getting naked, because if you're not wearing clothes, then you're invisible and no one can see your clothes, right? And so he's tiptoeing, like, stealthy-like, in front of this giant crowd of adults who are all paralyzed by the sight they're seeing. And there's this really long, painfully awkward shot of Cartman being all naked, stealthing across the stage. And it goes on for, like, comically too long. And then, of course, they cut to the angry parents at the community center, and they're all pissed off. And you'd think they'd be pissed off at these kids being really violent towards each other, but instead they're upset that, like, oh no, we saw a little boy's penis. And I think that's just a great commentary on American censorship. It's like, oh yeah, you can see guys rip each other's spines out and brush your teeth with, the opponent's brains. But you see a tit, and suddenly it's like, oh gosh, it's the end of the world. Let's go back to the decapitations. Let's not teach anyone how to reproduce. Let's teach them how to be violent little fuckers. So yeah, I think that's certainly one of my favorite scenes in South Park.
And I have no idea why I find this South Park moment so entertaining, but it's the episode with Lake Titicaca, and it's where just randomly the shark comes out of the lake and starts in on the kid, and I don't know why. I just find it because it's just like this weird like segue, and then he's like, oh, and then the shark just comes in, and I don't know why I find that entertaining. It probably is saying something horrible about my character, but yeah, that's the one weird thing that I just find entertaining every time I see the episode.